Do you have a paranormal experience you'd like to share with our viewers? Record your story on your phone or write it down and email your video or written account to us at weirdworldstories@gmail.com. The following story is about a young girl who believed she'd lived the life of a young actress in 1920s Hollywood. Amy Pierce from Minnesota was born premature and was in hospital for 3 months. As Amy got older, her parents were concerned because she was extremely quiet, preferred to be by herself, and did not talk. They took her to various doctors and speech pathologists, but they found nothing wrong with her. She just didn't want to talk and would point or gesture if she wanted anything. Around the age of 4, Amy loved to watch old movies, especially Shirley Temple films, and was also drawn to the silent shorts of Our Gang. Our Gang was an American series of comedy short films from the 1920s and 30s about a group of poor neighbourhood children and their adventures. Then around the age of 6, things took a sudden change when all of a sudden Amy started to talk, but still remained a loner and did not join in with other children. Then one day some kids were talking about the Little Rascals, and Amy immediately jumped in and started to name a list of children such as Jackie Cooper, Weezer, etc., etc. The children had no idea what Amy was talking about. The reason being was that the children had only watched the 1990s film version of the Rascals, while Amy was describing the 1920s and 30s version of the Rascals. That was the first time it hit Amy that she was different to other children. So she chose to keep to herself in what she was dealing with because she didn't want to sound crazy. For some reason, Amy could tell her family how each and every rascal died. She was obsessed with the tragedy that took place upon some of the rascals in Our Gang. Her favourite was Scotty Beckett. Over and over again, she would dress up and try to imitate the actors she was seeing. When Amy watched movies, she was oblivious to anything or anybody in the room around her, and was almost trance-like, and for some reason she liked to watch silent movies. When Amy was asked what she wanted for her birthday or Christmas, she did not want the usual toys children requested, but old movie posters, especially from the silent era. By the time Amy was 9, she had become totally obsessed with movie stars, and for some reason had a keen interest in movie stars that had tragic deaths, and would research them, especially if they had died young, where she would do even more research. So much so that Amy began to talk about dying young most of the time, and appeared to have a lot of empathy for people who'd had tragic childhoods. Her mother became concerned about her daughter's obsession and tried to steer her away from the subject, telling her that it would only make her sad and to try to concentrate on happy things. Amy loved visiting antique shops and found connections with certain objects that she came upon. As she started to watch even more silent films, it dawned on her that she knew about the people almost instinctively and was strangely familiar with the hairstyles and the language. On one occasion, she came out of the bathroom with a hair set in curlers, and it had been perfectly done. She had also tied a large red bandana over it. How was a child able to do this so perfectly, as her mother Teresa had never taught her to do this? Had she copied what she had seen from the movies, or had she learned it from a past life? When Amy was about 12, she saw a photograph of a young girl, and for some reason felt drawn to the photograph. When she first set eyes on the photo, she said she just stopped breathing and knew that there was much more. She knew absolutely nothing about this girl, not even her name at that point, but she somehow felt connected. She showed her mother a picture of the young girl, but she had no idea who the girl was either. Amy decided to do some research on the photo and found that her name was Lucille Rickson, who was a young American motion picture actress during the silent film era, and had tragically died of tuberculosis on March the 13th, 1925, at the age of 14. Amy then proceeded to tell her mother about Lucille Rickson. That was heartbreaking. But what she said next shocked her mother when she said, "I think I was Lucille Rickson in my last life." This comment totally threw her mother, and figured it was just a phase she was going through. But Amy truly believed what she was saying, and everything seemed to click into place about her obsession at such a young age with child stars dying. Lucille Rickson began her career as a baby model, but with the urging of her parents became a child model and later had acting roles. Although she was born Ingeborg Myrtle Elizabeth Eriksson in 1910, she was given the name Lucille Rickson when she was 4. Through the modelling and acting roles, Lucille Rickson rose to fame and had also provided a revenue for her parents. Lucille made her first movie when she was only 5 years old, but the studio took advantage of her and she was forced to work long hours. Not unlike Shirley Temple, she grew up way too fast, and no doubt the pressure she was put under at such a young age made her ill and became bedridden, and a short time later died of TB. Was Amy speaking up for a child star that never had her own voice? And when Amy saw the picture of Lucille, it had somehow triggered emotions and then memories of her past life. Amy loved to watch Mary Pickford and Clara Bow, who were famous in the silent era, but was more interested in Olive Thomas and Martha Mansfield, who nobody knew about. When she was 12, she bought the Olive Thomas biography with her birthday money, and this was when her life changed. Before reading the book, she did not know about a man called Jack Pickford. Jack Pickford was a Canadian-American actor, film director and producer in the silent era, and was the brother of Mary Pickford, who was a famous actress in the 1900s to the 1930s. However, when she read the chapters including Jack, she felt angry, as they were accusing and saying bad things about him due to alcohol, drugs and chronic depression. She said she knew in her heart that none of it was true. One day she totally surprised her mother when she came upon an old dress and said, "I had one just like that except mine was yellow, and I wore it to a party. I remembered seeing a nice man at the party who bought her a Coke." When Lucille Rickson appeared in a movie called The Hillbilly in 1924, she read that her co-star was Jack Pickford. Everything was now coming together, and that she knew him and had strong feelings for him. She had one strong memory where she was looking down and seeing beautiful silver shoes and a long frilly dress, and Jack Pickford was on set drinking Coca-Cola. He would come up to her and ask her how she was doing. Amy realised that the nice young man on the set who bought her the Coke was Jack Pickford. He seemed like he genuinely cared about her and how she was feeling, and it didn't come across as creepy or that he was trying to hit on her, and she loved him for it. Amy did not like reading bad things about Jack because she knew him, the real him. Something inside of her told her he was a nice man who was misunderstood. She wanted to save Jack's name, but didn't know why, and thought to herself, why should I care about a man who's been dead since 1933? From then on, Amy carried pictures of Jack Pickford all the time. Her mother could not understand how her daughter became so besotted with him. On further research, it turns out that Lucille Rickson and Jack Pickford had worked together on several movies, but Amy somehow knew all this without ever researching it. Unfortunately, there was another strong memory where Lucille is looking down and seeing blood all over her. This is when she had died from tuberculosis at the age of only 14. When Amy was about 17, she said she never understood why she was drawn to the silent movie era, because nobody she knew had any interest in that period of Hollywood and thought it odd. Did watching the silent movies at a young age really trigger memories of a past life as Lucille Rickson, or did a young child who did not speak until the age of 6 somehow fantasize and fabricate the life of a young girl who died in 1925?